of those last 8 Carolina-Kentucky games, I think. Maybe Brad Johnson, too. It is fair to consider the history in this game, or is that putting too much into it?
Yeah, it's definitely fair, man. I think there's a difference. If you look at these things, Shane Beamer, gets nothing for his team from making this game bigger than it is. Like, I think sometimes we talk about coach speak, and the coach speak thing to say is that this is just the next game. It's the biggest game because it's the next game, and no game is more important than any other game. And in context, as far as performing at your highest, that may sound like coach speak to us, but internally, that's 100% true. You do not want to put too little or too much emphasis on any one contest for a sport, and really any sport, any competition. So for Shane Beamer internally and his players, you don't want to put any additional pressure on this game. And what does that say about the other games? Oh, you're not trying for the other games? Like, your preparation should be the same each and every week. But for us externally, and in the context of, the Beamer era, in the context of the 2022 Gamecocks, in the context of where this season is going forward, in the context of going into your off week with some momentum, and then an A&M team coming to your place the week after.
With a backup quarterback.
And that's been very disappointing this year.
Yeah.
So,
and Roger from the Paul Feinbaum show is already talking about hiring a hitman to get rid of Jimbo rather than buying him out. So who knows what the state of the Texas A&M football program will be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so my point being that most of these seasons are roller coasters, right? Like, you think you have it figured out. South Carolina hasn't played that well overall through 5 games. Nobody thought probably through half of the season last year that they'd be going to a bowl game. And, you face some teams that are better than you think. You face some teams that are worse than you think going in. And lo and behold, you get to a bowl game and then you beat North Carolina. So I think this is, to steal a phrase from Eric Kimry, this is an inflection point for the season for South Carolina. And that's why I think it's important. Again, internally, you got to keep firing away. Even if you lose the game, you got to keep firing away. But externally, yeah, it's a massive game for this team.
We'll talk about some of the matchups that will determine whether or not South Carolina is able to pull the upset or not coming up. We'll have a little buy or sell for you as well. Want to remind you, too, that we have tickets, if you want them, to join the South Carolina Brewers Guild as they hold their first annual Best of South Carolina Craft Beer Festival, Saturday, October 15th from 2 to 5. That is a week from Saturday, 2 to 5 at 800 Gervais Street. If you want more information on how to get tickets, just visit Eventbrite or scbeer.org. 803-404-6100. Any thoughts that you have on Carolina A&M? Let us know. Text line, Love Chevy phone line, Twitter, at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at GC Chris Clark, and a little buy or sell next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Attention, anyone shopping for a new Jeep, turn up your radio now. Announcing the special order $1 sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. Here's how it works. Visit Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone and order the exact Jeep you want. Put just $1 down. Plus, we'll give you a $1,000 special order discount. No limitations, no exclusions. Just order any Jeep model, any Jeep trim level, and it's yours for just $1 down and $1,000 off MSRP. Best of all, your price is locked in and you're protected against a Jeep price increase. Other Jeep dealers are charging tens of thousands of dollars over MSRP. But right now, you can order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP.
Gotta go to Galliano.
$1 down, $1,000 below MSRP Jeep sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Example 2022 Jeep Wrangler. $1 down, $618 per month for 60 months at 4% APR. Plus tax and tag includes $225 closing fee. Expires month end.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Guys, want an effective, affordable way to get ED medication 100% online? Whether you're looking for Viagra or Cialis, or generic medications as effective as Viagra but 90% cheaper, you can find it all through HIMS. HIMS is your go-to for doctor-trusted treatments to help you treat ED. Get ED treatment for as low as $3 per use and save up to $1,000 per month with generic for Viagra versus the brand name at forhims.com/radio. If prescribed, your medication will be shipped to your door in discreet packaging. Do it all online. No in-person appointments. Get hard results with Hims or your money back. Go to forhims.com/radio to get your first visit free. That's forhims.com/radio to get started free. forhims.com/radio.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get all this behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. To get the best results for our clients, we stay on top of the law and the IRS rules and regulations. It's important to us to get you back on track and in compliance legally without worry for your future. At the Ecton Law Firm, we've handled hundreds of cases for everyday hardworking people like you right here in the Carolinas. Don't face the IRS alone. Know your legal rights. Call me to set up your appointment. The first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with a licensed attorney in person at our office in Irmo, just off I-26. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. Carolinas, if you have an IRS issue, you need a local attorney. You need me, John Ecton.
Schroeder's Towing wants to remind you that the game isn't over, even after the final whistle.
Yeah, how about that turnover?
Oh, yeah.
Or not turning over. I guess it's a bad time to bring up the false start.
Schroeder's Towing always has your back, every day and every game day. When the final whistle blows, we're ready to tow. The fastest response comes from the most trusted and reliable name in towing. Schroeder's Towing, the best hookers in town.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations.
Chris, integrated coming up here.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:34 on a Friday morning, a football Friday in Columbia. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. Pearson Fowler here, Wes Mitchell there, Chris Clark also there, getting ready to play some buy or sell, continue to preview South Carolina and Kentucky. And Chris actually has isolated in a series South Carolina fans have obviously not enjoyed recently, but in general has given us a lot of ugly kinds of games. This weekend might be very similar. Chris has identified the single worst Carolina-Kentucky game that he will tell us after he tells us about the sponsors of this show, Integrated Media.
Integrated Media. Make sure, we were just talking about video games, Mario, during our break, and I have several versions. We have several gaming systems. I don't get as much time to play anymore, unfortunately, and the kids, my girls aren't quite at that age where they want to show a whole lot of interest in video games, but they'll be there soon. And so we have the hookup. We have the setup from Michael and Nathan and the guys at Integrated Media. Hung our TV up in the bonus room. And then we have all our old video games on a switcher. And so they're all, you don't have to pull them out of the closet, dust them off, undo all the cords, see if you've got the right kind of cords and connections. They're all already set up in a cabinet. All the cords are nice and neat. And then you just turn on the TV, hit a switcher for the system you want to use. If you want it, we got a Wii, we got a Genesis, SNES, NES, all that good stuff. So if you want something like that, or you want smart home installation, home security, Sonos wireless speakers, or if you just want to make sure that you can see all the college football action this weekend, there is a lot. If you're not going to Lexington, you'll be at home watching the football game if you're not out somewhere. So make sure you have the best setup in your man cave, in your living room. Stream on multiple devices. Make sure your signal is good, no buffering. Check out all the college football action. So anything that you need from an audio-visual technology standpoint, Smart Home Solutions, give the guys at Integrated Media a call or check out their website,
integratedmediainc.com or 803-948-8327.
So what was the worst Carolina-Kentucky game ever?
Any guesses? I didn't mean to cut you off during the break.
No, you
Do
said I
have a
wasn't going to
guess?
guess it, so I guess I'm not going to guess
Take
it.
a guess. Not too recent.
Not too recent?
Yeah, not too recent.
I mean, the 2010 Kentucky game was a nightmare for South Carolina, and I think a little bit of an ugly game in general, but it's probably not that one.
What is your criteria here? Like, is this
Ugly
the worst
game?
Ugly because it was just like made you want to turn the TV off.
Doesn't
ugly.
even matter if South Carolina won or lost.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
I know the one. I bet you were thinking of the.
Well, the COVID one
Yeah.
was freaking brutal.
That was the one. That probably was one of the worst games to watch.
It was like 41-7 or something.
Remember? Oh, I think Wes just nailed it. I think he's got it.
Wait, can I make one more guess before
Yeah.
Wes?
Yeah.
Last year.
No.
Last year was terrible. That was an awful football game.
It wasn't a good game. It was at least
It was
close.
close,
Doesn't
but
matter.
both
either.
of the
Yeah.
offenses looked horrible.
2000 and I can't remember if it's 2
I know
or
you
3.
got the game. I know you got the game now.
2000. Wait, what year are we in right now? 2022. 2002, 2003.
You're close. You're close.
2000.
Well, let's ask Preston because he probably played in that game.
Yep. Now look, Preston, the worst.
Is this the Mike Rath game? He threw a touchdown late in the game.
2004.
I was going to say, this is definitely one that Preston was a part of, right?
What was the question?
The worst Kentucky South Carolina game
it was
ever.
in Kentucky. It was an even
As
number.
in, what do you mean worst?
There you go.
Ugliest.
Just the ugliest. Like this is the worst game ever.
Oh, it was pretty bad. If I remember correctly.
I can still see Mike Rath rolling out, throwing that ball to the back of the end zone. Was it Troy?
It was Troy Williamson. It was on 3rd and 10. Let me tell you why the game was so bad.
It was cold.
It was 12-7. Okay. Weird stat line. South Carolina played Mike Rath. Savell Newton played at quarterback. He started, only threw 2 passes, but he started. Blake Mitchell played in the game. Even. Shane Boyd was the starting quarterback for Kentucky, but his backup came in for that game was Andre Woodson, actually, who ended up being a really good player. But here's why it's so ugly. It's 12-7. Came down to the end for South Carolina. They did. Rath had the rollout and throw to the back of the end zone, and they won. Each team had 5 turnovers.
Ooh.
10 total turnovers in the game.
How many did Preston force?
What do you think, Preston?
All of them.
I will go with nil.
Yeah. I mean, like if you go back and look at like the game casts, like
it's been deleted from the internet.
Fumble, punt, fumble, missed field goal, made field goal, fumble, made field goal, fumble, interception, fumble, incomplete, interception, fumble. I mean, it was just it's like comical.
That's awesome.
How bad this game was.
What do you remember?
I just remember it being pretty cold that night. It was fairly cold, and for some reason that night we were playing. They kept coming out in some formation where we would check to 33, which was 2-3 techniques. I don't know why that's specifically in my mind about that night, but to the point, we would play ugly against Kentucky, and we felt like, why are we playing to this team's level? We're so much better than them. Why are we letting them hang around? And I don't know if it feels like that anymore.
Does Kentucky feel that way?
Maybe.
Did they feel that way last year when they spotted Carolina 3 turnovers on the plus side of the field for the Gamecocks?
Well, I feel like for one, last year was kind of just like a Mark Stoops game. Like they are ready and willing to just like muck it up and get dirty, and it's not a pretty style.
Was it Mississippi State and Auburn that played that 3-2 game?
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's what Mark Stoops wants every week.
Like he's okay with that, and reading a little more on like KSR and stuff like that, that's a Mark Stoops game. And if I don't really pay that much attention to Kentucky when South Carolina's not playing them, but they're ready and willing and completely comfortable in those type of games. But for how long did South Carolina get in? Oh, this is maybe closer than we expected games with Kentucky, and then South Carolina win them all. It didn't matter how. It really didn't matter how the game played out, the game flow, any of that stuff, South Carolina was going to find a way to win. And that one right there was probably one of the ones where it was most sort of, up in the balance. But, man, it has completely turned where these last 8 years, most of the time, it's been a tight game. But Kentucky has been – I don't know if I've ever seen a game it's not considered a rivalry where the series is completely owned by one team, and then it's been completely owned by the other team.
Well, at the risk of being cheesy, because I feel like we've been dancing around this, how much of that is belief? Kentucky expects to win these games now, just like South Carolina once did.
I think it's belief in the idea that they believe in who they are. I don't know if they necessarily believe that they're gonna win these games or whatever, but they're maybe it's more so buy-in than belief. They know that if the game is tight, they can win, but also if the game is tight, that's sort of where they have prepared to be all year.
Right.
Every game is kind of, and Kentucky's like a dive bar, it's just
a very reliable dive bar where you can always get
you can get your favorite. They're not gonna make you a Cosmo or nothing fancy, but you can get a Jack and Coke there, and it's just
some wings.
Just some wings.
There's always gonna be a seat at the bar for you
on a paper plate. It's gonna be fine, and that's just what they are. They're not aspiring to be anything else, and to me, that's sort of it's kind of admirable in a lot of ways, just because they've had a staff and a culture that's built around being what they are.
Kentucky football, from a style standpoint, is Frank Martin basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. I like it.
Someone made that point the other day. I think it might have been Hank, actually. Or no, it was Barry. It was Barry. I love that.
Sorry,
no
Barry.
ideas original, so it's fine. It's okay. But I think that's great.
I thought I was on.
I'm saying it's a great idea because multiple people have independently had it and made it this week. I think that's I love both of those comparisons. Dive bar, Frank Martin basketball. Yeah. So I come back to this thing that I drew up, the little square of potential outcomes. Like, if this is a close game, which I think it projects to be just based on the fact that you don't believe in Kentucky's offense, especially without Will Levis, probably don't overly believe in South Carolina's offense in general, probably going to be a low-scoring game. A low-scoring game kind of leans towards Kentucky in recent history and in terms of Mark Stoops and what this team has done. So I guess what does Carolina need to actually do to win a close game in Lexington? Carolina has not beaten Mark Stoops in Lexington.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. They have not. I mean, it depends on how deep you want to get in this thing. Like all the things that lead to winning football. For one, they got to stop turning the ball over so much. I knew they had turned it over a lot, but
more than anyone else in the SEC.
Exactly, and I think tied for second in the wrong direction as far as in the country. You got to hold on to the football. Obviously, I mean that's going to be a big one. This feels like a game that special teams could play a big part as well.
Especially because Kentucky's have not been good. Carolinas have been very good. Kentucky's have been poor.
But both teams have had some operation issues on, field goals and PAT team. Kentucky has a great returner. It very easily could come down to that if this is a rock fight type game. And, Kentucky against Ole Miss, they didn't have many drives where they just drove down the field and just scored. It was more they took advantage of short field situations.
I actually wrote this whole poll out and then I deleted it and I was like, nah, I wasn't feeling it, but I kind of want to ask you guys now. Like, if there is one stat that you feel like will tell the story of tomorrow's game, like the three options that I had for sure were Carolina's rushing yards, Kentucky's rushing yards, turnovers. I couldn't think of a fourth one. Like I said, I scrapped it, but you have one immediately?
I got one.
Okay, we'll sit on that. I'll let Chris and Preston think about it, and y'all be thinking of one. The stat that will define the game one way or another tomorrow for Carolina and Kentucky, plus some buy or sell coming up next.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy. Noon to 3 on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Hey there, Gamecock Nation. This is number 32, Mo Kaba, here to tell you about the awesome team at Cato's Power Equipment. Whether you're a seasoned landscaping professional or a master of your own lawn, Cato's has all the best power equipment. from Aaron's, Gravely, Toro, and Steel. Cato's service and parts specialists are there to make sure your equipment is always up for a challenge. I'm Mo Kaba, a proud member of the Cato's team, inviting you to come join us.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
Is your old car really scary? Are you frightened by how much you owe?
Gotta go to Galliano.
Galliana Kia on Greystone can get you out of your old car and into a new Kia with 0 down and 0 payments until next year. And we'll beat any price, anywhere in the USA. Send us a screenshot of the best price you can find, and Galliana Kia will sell it to you for less. New 2023 Kia Forte LXS, just $19,799. Sign and drive. Not a lease. You own it for $289 per month with 0 down and 0 payments until next year.
Gotta go to Galliano.
Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Reserve right to validate comparison price. Forte stock number 3K1513. 0 down, $289 per month for 84 months at 5.99% APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trade equity financed to new loan. Subject to lender approval. Expires with that.
If you have IRS tax problems, it can seem like a vicious cycle that never ends, year after year. Just getting the mail can be stressful and overwhelming. Don't let it ruin your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Ecton Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems for individuals and businesses across the Carolinas. We have the knowledge and experience and are dedicated to the success of each client. We are local attorneys with local solutions. At the free initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the systematic process we use in solving your tax problem. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution. We're dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problems. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step. Give us a call at 803-771-9800 or go to ectonlawfirm.com. You'll be glad you did.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
on the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
11:49 Friday morning, a football Friday here on 107.5 The Game. Last segment here, the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, and I'm going to try to cram 3 segment-worthy questions into one final segment here. Trying to figure out which order to do this. Let me do this first because I want to come, because this is actually interesting to me, and I forgot to ask you earlier, Preston. Preparing for a backup quarterback as opposed to a starter.
Yes.
Sometimes you hear like, oh, you were preparing for one thing, you got something you weren't expecting. That made it harder. How much truth is there in that, and does that apply this weekend?
I don't think it applies. There is truth in it. I don't think it applies this week because the offense that you're playing against has such a definitive personality that they probably are more so plug and play with whoever plays quarterback, aside from maybe sometimes where you might have completely different game plans. So I don't think it applies this weekend.
It's admirable. I like that.
Yeah.
Good job, Kentucky. Question number 2, the stat that will define the game one way or another tomorrow. Wes already knows.
The stat is success rate.
Oh.
Aha.
Oh, my goodness.
Whoa.
I just hit all the hotkeys.
By the way, we got to do buy or sell, y'all.
Yeah, I know. I didn't forget. That was the third thing.
Okay. Success rate, because success rate is basically I thought you liked success rate.
I do.
Success rate is the representation of, did you stay on schedule or did you defensively keep them off schedule? So if Carolina offensively is on schedule, down and distance wise we're talking about, and conversely keeps Kentucky's offense off schedule, then there would be happy Gamecock fans at about 11 o'clock on Saturday night.
I don't want to say something else to sound smarter, but success rate is the answer.
Okay.
I'm going to go yak and kind of cheat. So yards after catch or carry.
So just contact.
Well, you don't
not
have to be
necessarily.
contact, right?
Yeah, okay.
So Kentucky's receivers have been pretty dangerous after the catch, namely Tavion Robinson. Dane Key also, but he's done a lot of just, I'm going to run downfield and catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
Tavion Robinson, Berrien Brown is very fast. So if you lose him, you probably are in trouble. Yards after contact because of the running game and Chris Rodriguez. I mean, I gave the stat last week. He had 72 yards against Ole Miss, 61 after contact.
Yeah.
So
I was almost thinking Carolina rush yards over Kentucky rush yards because I feel like Kentucky's going to have 200 rushing yards no matter what. But if Carolina has 200 rushing yards, I feel like Carolina wins. And if Carolina has 80 rushing yards, I feel like Carolina loses.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair. And to Chris's point, that's what Coach Holtz used to always say. You know, the key is stopping the run, and that's yak included. So that's always a big idea.
Yeah, I said earlier this week that tackling was my biggest key. So maybe that's not really I guess maybe missed tackles, kind of the same thing as yours. I don't know. Carolina needs to, what they need to do? They need to play better than Kentucky tomorrow.
But I was going to shock the world and go with an analytic in West.
Sorry,
that was
stole your thunder.
I thought there was like some resignation in your expression because you were like, "Oh, what a dumb answer is," because he stole yours.
It was my one chance to use analytics.
That's all right. Craig says third down conversions.
That's a fair one.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But
it's baked into success rate.
Rate.
It is. That's a sneaky little cheating answer right there.
It's not cheating.
Broncos and Colts last night. 6 of 31 combined on third downs. It's a hell of a football game. All right, let's buy some things and sell some things.
Yes, let's do. Brought to you by our friend Kendall Walsh of the Moore Company, 803-414-3590. workwithwalsh@gmail.com or at workwithwalsh on Twitter. Give Kendall a call. She's a huge Gamecock fan. I'm sure she'll be dialed into the game on Saturday, just like all of you. There's been a lot of, I would say, uncertainty around the housing market, but what you need to know is that you can make a no obligation call to Kendall, and she can help sort of walk you through this process, help you get hooked up with a lender. There's a lot of creative things that they can do for you. You may be looking at the interest rate saying, I'm scared to buy a house right now, but you may be in a better situation than you actually think you are. So again, give Kendall a shout. The Moore Company, 803-414-3590. She helped me buy a home. She can do the same for you.
Well, what's the first buy or sell?
Okay, we're going very simple here. Chris Rodriguez Jr. will rush for 100 yards on Saturday. Has Kentucky had a 100-yard rusher all year long, Chris? On the spot.
Hopefully you know the answer. I'm going to say
I don't think they have.
They have not.
But okay, who feels strongly to go first?
I'm going to strongly buy it.
I'll buy that.
I think I have to buy.
All right, B. All right, I'm selling.
Ooh, juicy.
Wow.
I've been all in on this thing that Kentucky's just not as good at running the football as they have been, and Chris has been like, "You're an idiot" all week long. So I'm gonna double down on.
I don't think I said it that strongly.
That's kind of what you were saying.
Okay.
I'm gonna double down on that and sell. South Carolina will score. I'm gonna bump this up a little bit. South Carolina will score 24 points as a football team on Saturday.
Buy. No. Sell.
All right, I haven't done a very good job. Are you selling as well?
Yeah, I have to.
What about 21 points? Are y'all still selling?
Yeah, I have to sell.
Yep.
I think I would have bought at 21. Price got up out of my price range just now. I was here
that
for
was
20.
like the most immediate buyer's remorse I've ever seen in my life.
No.
Yeah.
All right, I'm selling as well.
You sell 21?
No, 24.
He didn't officially change it.
Oh, well,
that was a
make it-
hypothetical.
Okay, 21. All right, you're buying 21?
Yeah, I'll press it on the hook for this.
I'll buy it at 21. I'll buy it at 21.
Okay, I'm buying at 21 too. Chris,
I have
selling?
to sell still.
Okay. We haven't given our predictions, so Let's go. South Carolina will win the football game Saturday. Bonus, give me your score.
By 21.
You're about to steal my thunder.
18.
Oh, nice. 2-point conversion in there late to get it within a field goal. I like it.
There you go.
Chris Clark.
It was South Carolina will win.
Yes.
Is that how you phrased it? Okay.
Yes.
By South Carolina can win.
I'll buy that. But, I'm selling. I don't feel super convicted, but
it'll be close.
It will be close.
Yeah.
Pearson?
Actually
I'm
accurate.
selling. My final score prediction I sent to Colin last night at 7:59 was 21-13 Kentucky.
What was your score, Chris?
27-20.
Okay, we're all in similar spots. I'm buying. I had 21-17 for my final score that I sent in, which when you said 21, I thought you were about to hit the exact
It's a
same
hell of a
number.
tiebreaker.
Yeah,
1 point
so
off.
21-17, Gamecocks win. I don't really know why. I just think it's going to be a grinded out game, and I think they're due. I think we've gotten to the point for this Carolina team where, maybe the expectations were too high coming into the season, but it's come all the way back the other way where people are just like kind of blah about this team. I think there's still talent on the Carolina team, and I think Kentucky's still flying a little bit higher than where they should be based on preseason expectations. So Gamecocks get some good news and win this weekend.
Very good. All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate you all listening to the Gamecock Central Hour and the Extra Point here on 107.5 The Game. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you enjoy the game. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. 107.5 The Game. A Cumulus media station.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate